It was an immediate reaction of warmth and welcoming into this country. And at that point, I was still very anxious about living in a foreign country. And that moment really just made it all better for me and just gave me a sense of calm and happiness. Hi everyone, I'm Taylor and I've been in Korea for 4 years now and I'm a teacher here in Korea. I always wanted to study abroad in college all throughout school, but never got the chance. And Korea was always a country I was interested in growing up. I had a lot of friends who had already taught here and told me what an amazing experience it was. Actually, growing up, I lived in a lot of different states in the US. And so actually in every state I lived in, some of my best friends were Korean. So I became interested in Korean culture from a really young age. And so it was definitely a no-brainer, I guess, as we would say. So literally in every state, I don't know, somehow I would just become friends with Korean people. So they were all so nice to me. So actually my first impression of Korea, I came here in 2015 just to visit, and it was my first time ever going somewhere overseas, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I went to Seoul and Busan. We went to Gyeongju too, and I just thought it was so beautiful the first time I came here. I loved all the nature and the hills, and then in Seoul going to all the unique places like the cafes, and I think at that time it was Gangnam Style was still pretty popular, so we went to the statue and did our little dance there. But actually I thought maybe I would be too overwhelmed living in a whole new country. Even though I loved it here and it was a beautiful place to visit, I was like, maybe I'm too scared. So at first my first impression was, oh, beautiful country, I love it, but maybe I don't want to live here. But actually, after I made my decision and came to Korea later, I think I just got the overwhelming sense of kindness from a lot of people. You know, my school was so welcoming. All the students, the teachers, the administration, you know, they welcomed me with open arms and they were so helpful. Even, you know, just outside of school in the neighborhood I lived in, I remember there was one time where it was raining really, really hard and I was not prepared at all. I had no umbrella. I didn't even know it was supposed to rain that day. And so I ended up having to walk home in the heavy rain and I was getting so wet. And then actually when I was waiting to cross the street, a lady came up to me and she just offered to share her umbrella with me. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. And I was like, because you don't really get those experiences in the USA. So, you know, we didn't speak the same language. I didn't speak any Korean at that time. She didn't speak English, but I could just tell from the kindness of her face and how she was willing to share her umbrella while we waited. It was an immediate reaction of warmth and welcoming into this country. And at that point, I was still very anxious about living in a foreign country. And that moment really just made it all better for me and just gave me a sense of calm and happiness. Oh, there are so many good points. I think one is, you know, food is pretty cheap. Public transportation is amazing. And I feel like I saved so much money living and teaching here. You know, quality of life is definitely a lot better here than at home. And another huge thing for me is safety. I think Korea is so safe. In the USA, I would never think about, you know, just walking by myself at night, you know, in the middle of the night. But here, you know, even though you have to still take your necessary safety precautions, I don't have the sense of anxiety I would have back home. So that's really important to me living here. And one of the things that surprised me the most was public transportation. To be honest, in the USA, people rarely take public transportation unless you're living in, New York City or one of the major cities that have public transportation like that. But I never lived in any of those places, so I never took public transportation, and I always kind of viewed it as kind of dirty. I didn't want to do that, So coming to Korea, I was kind of nervous knowing that I would have to take public transportation all the time. But now I absolutely love it. Public transportation in Korea is so clean, it's so convenient. I actually like taking the bus over the subway just because I like seeing all of my surroundings. You find and discover places taking the bus that you wouldn't on the subway because you can see kind of everything around you. I think the train system, the KTX are so convenient. I've been all over Korea, and it's something that I never really did back in the US, is just really explore the way I have in Korea, and I think that is due to how great the public transportation system is here. So before coming to Korea, this is kind of funny, I hated doing the dishes. In the US, we have dishwashers, so you just rinse off your plates and your pots in the sink and then put in the dishwasher and it does all the work for you. In Korea, so you're used to washing everything by hand, and so before moving to Korea, I was not used to that. And now having done it for 4 years, when I go back home and my parents see me doing the dishes after dinner, they're like, whoa. Who are you? What are you doing? For me internally is a lot less anxious than I was before, because I think moving to Korea was such a big step out of my comfort zone, and just being in a whole new country and experiencing just everything new, I've learned to explore more and put myself out there more and not be afraid of certain situations, which for me is like one of the most positive changes internally. My parents said the same thing. I was a lot more open. So I've had a lot of people, help me over the years in just to Korean life. One has actually been one of my best friends from high school who came to the US to go to high school and university, but came back because she's Korean to finish university here in Korea. So once I moved here, she was already in Korea. So her and her family actually helped me move in and get adjusted, which is so nice. And again, so heartwarming. Her dad would tell me one of the reasons, why, they would help me so much here is because they were so thankful for me and my family helping their daughter back in the US. So I was like, oh, that is so nice. So they helped me a lot, and they live in Seoul, so coming to Daegu was like a long trip for them, so I really appreciated that from them. And they helped me set up like Yogi-O and all the delivery apps. So that was really nice. And then I would have to say my co-teachers, so teaching in a public school, I have a Korean co-teacher who I teach with. In both schools that I've taught in Korea, they have been extremely, extremely helpful. They helped me get settled in Korea. If there was anything I needed help with, I could go to them and ask them and they would help me. There was even a woman who didn't teach at the school anymore, but she came back just to help me and another foreign teacher at our school, and we became like really good friends. So anything else out that we need help with, she was like, oh, you can come to me for anything if there's anything you need. So many people. Oh, and then everyone has been so nice here. So I actually remember setting up my phone plan here in Korea. One person who could speak English, and he was like, I can help you with anything you need. I lived in the US and everyone was so nice and helpful for me there, so I want to give you the same, helpfulness and respect, and let me figure out the best phone deal for you and the best, whatever. So I was like, oh, that is so nice. I know I keep doing this, but I'm like, I can't get over, how helpful and nice Korean people have been to me here, and it really helped me adjust to my life here, and it's like one of the reasons why I choose to continue to live here, because I just feel so welcomed into this community and this culture. So specific for, oh my gosh, there are so many people. So I just want to say thank you to Irene, to both Miss Jungs who were my co-teachers, to Miss Shin, to Miss Beck, to there are so many people, like my co-teachers here. Just thank you so much for making my transition into Korea. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I don't know if I could have gotten to this point without you. So today I shared my experience living in Korea, as well as the reasons I came to live over here. If you want to follow me and more in my adventures in Korea, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Taylor with an E. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Bye!